And I think we're live now. So good morning. I'm Christina Dillabo, Director of Communications for the Desert Southwest Conference. This is Tuesday Talks, Zoom live stream conversation with church communicators, which a lot of times is the pastor, but it could be volunteers that just help out, or it could be church staff covering all kinds of different communication topics and learning about what's coming up from the conference, the districts, and from churches. Today, I'm super excited to introduce to you Sharon Asmus. She and I have known each other for, I don't know how long. It seems like forever, but it probably hasn't been that long. But she could be your next best friend if you're looking for IT support. The Desert Southwest Conference uses GCFA, which is short for General, I know what it is. It is short for General Council on Finance and Administration. So we use GCFA, what they call the help desk, as our IT support. And it's also available for local church use. It isn't free, but the nice thing about GCFA is that they're not a third-party organization that's trying to make all kinds of money and become millionaires. They are a United Methodist Church organization, so it's a service for United Methodists. And I mean, they've got to pay their staff, they've got to pay, for whatever resources they're using, but they're not trying to make a profit on any of us. So I love that about them. And they're very, very knowledgeable, very patient, and they understand the United Methodist Church world. With that shared, and I'm going to show you, you know what, let me real quick. I should have done this sooner. There we go. So this is a quick overview. It's the Technology Support Services page on the GCFA website. But I've invited Sharon here today. She is let me stop sharing the screen now. Stop. She's the Director of IT or Information Technology. And so she's going to tell us more about the services that GCFA offers. Am I still sharing my screen? I am. And how she can help your church. So think about if you've got questions. Sharon, please tell us about what you do and what GCFA does.
Thank you, Christina. I appreciate the introduction and good morning to all of you. It's great that we have a small group, so I'm really open to the specific questions you might have about your technology pain points, and I can talk about perhaps specifically how we might help you. I can just give a quick overview of what we do. Christina touched on this a little bit already. With a centralized technology service, we're able to have a technology team that can help any organization of the United Methodist Church, whether it's a local church or an area conference or agencies, other affiliated organizations. We can help you with your technology services. As a nonprofit, that means we only have to cover our costs, and so we can offer really cost-effective solutions to you. So one thing that we do for local churches the most is we call it the worry-free bundle. And what this includes is the domain for your church, configuring that with email. Microsoft offers 10 free email licenses to nonprofits. So that includes the email address, the shared storage via the cloud. So that way you're not using personal email addresses for church business. So you have up to 10 email addresses. And then for every device that you have, maybe you have one computer, 2 computers, maybe one for a volunteer. We can manage that device. And what that includes is antivirus software, patching, and then a real-time threat detection that helps protect that. So those 2 things, the managed workstation, and the email via Microsoft is what we call our worry-free bundle that helps you manage your church operations safely and securely. That managed workstation service is $3.12 per device per month. So, sometimes you may have one or two devices. We have some churches that just have one. We have others that have 50 devices. I think Christina, we're managing for her upwards of 80 plus devices. So those are the top two things that I wanted to talk about. I'll stop there and see if you have any questions about that.
I have
Right,
one
Jen.
question. How does this differ from UMC churches and their web hosting bundle?
So we don't do website hosting, so that
Okay.
would still be separate. This is just the email service. And we can help configure that domain so that the email can go directly to, so it can go to whatever your church name is, Good Shepherd, at goodshepherd.org. So we can configure that for you.
Okay, thank you.
I can give an example of that, and it's actually going to be the next topic that we cover. But so one of the staff persons at the GCFA help desk is Robert Kendall, and he's the network engineer manager type person. And when at the conference, we use Mailchimp for our e-newsletter delivery. And there was a time, I think it was in February, where it came out, where all of a sudden there was like warning things on our Mailchimp account saying that we needed to authenticate our domain. And maybe there was like delivery wasn't successful for a while to Gmail accounts. And so it seemed pretty scary. And so we're covering it today, but I was able to just reach out to GCFA and say, hey, what's going on here? Can you guys help us? It's something to do with our domain. And it's actually not super scary and difficult, but the process was fairly simple, but there was additional things that needed to happen because we have our domain set up like in such a particular way because it needs to be able to send our emails from our database, from Mailchimp, from our website. And so every time we do something like that, it makes our domain, the at DSCUMC.org, potentially seem like, hey, is somebody spoofing you guys? I don't know, this could be spam, this could be fake. And so our emails might get blocked. And so the steps that we needed to take for the DMARC or the process, I guess, to pass that, and it's not something new. It is new for 2024, but it happens from time to time. And it may not just be Gmail that's requiring it. It could be other companies that are requiring it to say, okay, emails delivered to our customers are safe because it passed through these protocols. And anyway, so in our case, there was a little bit of extra steps that needed to happen because we have our domain connected to so many different services. And so it was really nice to be able to reach out to GCFA for support. And
Good morning.
good morning. And so Robert just took care of it for us. It took a while because I forgot to tell him, oh yeah, we also have it connected to this, and we also do this. But one of the main things that I really appreciate about GCFA's help desk is that, there's so many, tons of different things, but one of the things is that I, as the client, don't have to be super tech savvy. I can just explain, here's what I'm dealing with. And they've got so many other customers dealing with very similar situations that they're able to process my convoluted request and get identify, okay, here's what the problem is, and here's how we're going to fix it. And they take care of it. And sometimes it's It's a matter of having to share my screen with them, and I'm walking through whatever they tell me, okay, now click here, now do this, or they can take over my screen and do it for me while I watch, or they can just take care of it while I'm busy doing something else. So all kinds of different ways to take care of their clients, and in a very friendly way, very time sensitive way. I mean, they can't always do it immediately after because they've got tons of other clients, but definitely within a day, maybe up to 3. It just depends. I'm always going to hear back from them because they open up a help ticket, and you kind of follow up with that ticket number, and yeah, they just take care of it. So I can't recommend them enough. If you're looking for IT support, if you don't have IT support, I mean, they're very affordable. They're not trying to break the bank or make a ton of money on you. They're United Methodists for United Methodists so that you can spend your dollars on ministry, but take care of the safety of your computer and all that business. So.
Great. That's great, Christina. One thing I'll add to that is that service desk, that help desk is available to you as you need it. So a lot of for-profit IT consulting firms charge you a flat monthly fee just for them to be available. And so how we're different is we only charge you when you need us. And so, and we charge in quarter-hour increments. And so it's really cost effective for you. If you're having a problem, you spend more than 30 minutes on it so that you don't get frustrated. You know, you have that phone a friend capability. So just a way that we do it a little bit differently to meet the needs of the small and mid-sized local churches.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. So anybody have any questions at this point? Okay, then I'm going to let you go, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us. And I will be sending you all Sharon's contact information and the webpage link that I shared with you. And this is where it has the worry-free IT bundle, and you can contact them that way as well. All right, thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye. All right, so the next thing, as I was saying, the Mailchimp domain authentication and Gmail's 2024 requirement for DMARC. So I'm not going to play these videos, but what I'm going to do is send you a link to this video from Spring Ahead Media Solutions and this video from Mailchimp. Each of these 2 videos shows you similar things about the process of how to go through the DMARC authentication. I can't play them because they're not my videos and I'm live streaming it. And so this would be like copyright infringement if I shared it. I don't have their permission to share it. So I can send you the links and you can watch them on your own. But where is it? I wanted to show you. There we go. I don't know if you can see here, this is her example. So if you have something like this in your Mailchimp or Constant Contact or some other company that you use, and if you use a different company and this isn't helpful enough for you, be sure to email me back. I can do some research to find a video for you that shows you step by step what to do. As I mentioned before, you actually probably don't need an IT person to walk you through it. It's very simple. And when you see the videos, you'll see how easy it is. We just needed extra support because of other stuff. But anyway, let me find, how do I stop sharing? So I'm going to send you the links to those 2 videos. Questions about that? Okay. And the next thing is early response training. So we do have the disaster response training coming up in November on the 16th at Green Valley United Methodist Church. And I can appreciate that course is an in-person training course. So if you're in Tucson or somewhere else, you're probably kind of annoyed that I'm sharing this information because it's way too far to have to travel for a training like this. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because there may be people at your church that are asking you about what is the United Methodist Church doing in regards to the disasters going on. Last week, I shared with you all some information that you could share for where to donate to help, but there could be people that are more hands-on that want to just physically go and help someone. And so I wanted to make sure that you were aware that we do have, first of all, an ERT is the early response team. I think that's what it is. And so they're one of the first people, other than FEMA, that are allowed to be present at a disaster. After the disaster, sorry, not during the disaster, but right after the disaster to help. And so some of the things that ERTs do is they do things like site cleanup, tarping over buildings, they do debris removal. Sometimes there's needs for special skills, like they might have a chainsaw team that needs to be there, and volunteers that have access to tools and know how to use these tools. Like, I don't know what these are, but I'm going to tell you these names. Maybe you know. Skid steers, track loaders, tractors with grapple, I don't know. All of those are very helpful, and sometimes they're needed, not every time, but sometimes they are needed. But every time, what a volunteer would need is to be trained. So, and we also can't just show up at whatever disaster. Any United Methodist Conference can't show up at a disaster until they have been invited by that conference to go. So the way it works is our ERT coordinator, George Cushman, he will kind of register to say, hey, we want to be able to send a team there, and or let us know if you want us to send a team there, that sort of thing. I don't know what exactly they say, but I know that they need to request and be given permission or be requested to come out with a team. And then, so while that's happening, we'll need to be training people, and what else? Once they're trained, then they get their, whether it's a flight or driving there or whatever, they coordinate with you, with the volunteers, how to get there and where you're going to be staying, and this is the food you can have and all that business. So right now, all of that isn't secured yet, but I know that they're working on it. So people at your church might be wondering about that. If they're interested in learning more about training, or they want to be trained, send them either, and I'm going to give you the link, but I'm going to share my screen again. Here we go. If they go to the dscumc.org/disaster-response, you get to this page where you can request training. You can sign, if you've already been trained and you're a team leader, you want to be able to take a team, you can sign up here. What else? And this, if we have other training scheduled, this is where they're going to be listed. So right now it's just the one on November 16th. And here's the contacts. What else? That's about it. There's some other videos and resources about becoming an ERT. So you could even share this one if you want to. A little flyer about the process of becoming a trained disaster response person. Do you have questions about that? Okay. Then I think maybe Tom or George might be joining us next week. Once they have everything worked out about, okay, we can take one team, two teams, whatever. I think it was George that said that he could come out on a Tuesday Talks to talk about that. So we might have them come in next week. All right, then the next thing is about Safegatherings. So it's Charge Conference season already, and one of the forums talks about safe sanctuaries policy, but also you might need to do some background checks. So Safegatherings is typically the organization that we use for the background checks. But if you are one of the churches that needed to do a training, I just verified last week that the thing to do is just go to this dscumc.org/safety-resources and click on the Safegatherings training link. You fill out this form, that's step one, and it's going to take you through the process for having your own church account with Safegatherings. Do we have questions about that? No, okay. Then that's it. That's all I have for you. I did have some questions from churches. I had 2 questions that I could not find. They're in my email. So I'm going to dig them up and hopefully I can provide the responses either via email or I'll talk about it next week. I cannot remember what they were. I flagged them and now I couldn't find them. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that's how I come up with the topics for Tuesday Talks. It's questions from the churches, and if it's something that seems like, oh yeah, it's going to affect a lot of churches, I bring them up at Tuesday Talks. But if so, send me an email if you've got a question. I'll try to help you right away, and then I'll cover it on Tuesday Talks as well. All right, thank you all for joining me. See you next week. Bye.